Hello everyone, today we are going to be talking about the early season struggles of the Minnesota Timberwolves, now going 0-6 over their last 6 games. If you do go on to enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. But first, a quick word from our sponsors. This important PSA is brought to you by Manscaped.com. The Manscaped engineering team has confirmed that they have successfully created the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, which is now available for purchase in the USA and Canada. The new trimmer was released just only moments ago, and we are one of the first ones to get our hands on it and share the great news. There are over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free shipping with code RUNTHENBA at Manscaped.com. I'm one of the first people to try the new 4.0, and I am very impressed with the ease of the product. It's very easy to use. It has wireless charging. It is optimized to be waterproof so you can comfortably use it in the shower. And it also has a 4000K LED spotlight, which just makes it that much easier to see those hard to reach, hard to see areas. The Lawnmower 4.0 is the perfect gift for yourself, for all of your grooming needs, or the perfect gift for a loved one this holiday season. Get 20% off plus free shipping with code RUNTHENBA at Manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at Manscaped.com and use code RUNTHENBA. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. That being said, let's get ahead to the rest of the video. The Minnesota Timberwolves were a team that myself and many other people expected to take a step forward in the Western Conference this year, to push for the play-in games and potentially get themselves into the playoffs for the first time since Jimmy Butler left. And remember when he was a problem in Minnesota, but was actually the only reason, as he has been pretty much in every case, that they were actually playing as well as they were. But now this year with Karl-Anthony Towns, D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, Anthony Edwards, high hopes for Jaden McDaniels. The expectations that this Timberwolves team was going to be a strong offensive team, but they might struggle on the defensive end, and ultimately that was what was going to limit them, was their defense, but ultimately their offense could be enough to get them in to the play-in games. That has not been the case. To put it lightly, that has definitely not been the case. This team has not been some team that's running people out of the gym on the offensive end. In fact, they have the 25th best offensive rating in the league right now. They are a bottom 6 team in the league from an offensive rating standpoint. And their defense actually hasn't been as bad as people had thought it would be. They are sitting in 17th for defensive rating, currently at 107.3. There's a whole barrage of reasons you can make for this Minnesota team, some that are hypothetical, some that you can just see on the court. But let's start with the most blatant ones. Jaden McDaniels, who a lot of people had high hopes for this year, and was kind of one of those guys that last year was underrated, and then was one of those guys that definitely wasn't underrated, because he was one of those guys that everyone said was underrated and were looking forward to taking a big jump. Well, he started all 10 games now this year for Minnesota, and isn't even averaging 5 a night in the nearly 25 minutes he's playing. He's been extremely inefficient. He's been struggling to score. His rebounding hasn't been as great as you would like it to be, although it's still fine. And even his defense at times hasn't been great. And for someone who's starting, player efficiency rating does not tell everything by any stretch. I don't love throwing around statistics, but his player efficiency rating is 5.28. Which for anybody who knows anything about player efficiency rating, I believe around 16 point something is usually league average. And for comparison, Anthony Edwards has 18.49 and Karl-Anthony Towns 22.57. So that just gives you a bit of a statistical analysis of how much Jaden McDaniels has disappointed this year. Struggled from deep, he struggled from the field, he has not been great on the defensive end relative to what would have been expected of him with his length and athletic ability, and ultimately it leads to scenarios now where he's just not going to be played as much if he continues this way, which is tough because he was expected to be someone who could be a part of this group moving forward, an exciting young piece, and that still could happen. But like, he only played 14 minutes last night. Naz Reid, Vanderbilt, and Malik Beasley picked up those minutes off of the bench. But that just brings us to another player who's disappointed this year, and that's Malik Beasley. He's moved back to the bench this year with D'Angelo Russell back from injury, with Anthony Edwards there. They've decided to go with a little bit more defense, have him on the bench, and have Patrick Beverley in the starting lineup for the time being, at least in their matchup last night against Golden State. He was the guy who slid in and has slid in since he has been back from injury, which makes sense. They need defense on this team. Defense is definitely not their strong part on paper, and so Patrick Beverley has slid in and done that job fine. But Malik Beasley's transition back to the bench has been anything but fine so far this season. Malik Beasley is averaging under 10 points a night, which is just not what you would have expected from Malik Beasley after as good of a season he had last year. He's now shooting 34% from the field and a bit under 32% from deep. Just not splits that you would expect for someone who was as good of a scorer as Malik Beasley was last year. I really took a step forward over the last couple of years with Minnesota, and he's nearly been a 20-point per game guy the last couple of years. While starting, sure, but he's still playing fairly significant minutes for this group and just can't get a bucket. And so ultimately, they're going to need his scoring and Jaden McDaniels' play in general to improve if they want to be a play-in team, and it has to be looked at as a considerable part as to why they have now lost 6 in a row. Having two core guys like that struggle is tough, but that's not to mention that D'Angelo Russell just continues to put doubt in my mind that I have to let go of all-star Brooklyn Nets D'Angelo Russell, because he just hasn't been anywhere near as good since then. He continues to just be a fine NBA starting point guard, if not below average, who's getting paid over $30 million a season, and that's tough to swallow for a team that's young, relatively, with Minnesota when you're talking about Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels, even Karl-Anthony Towns, who isn't anywhere near old yet. And yet they have a big bunch of money tied up to D'Angelo Russell, who just has not been good this year. And he continues, it's not even not good this year. It just seems to be this is just his level of play now since he's left Brooklyn, which is fine, but it's not $30 million money. Shooting under 39% from the field. A fine playmaker, but definitely not a good or great one by any stretch. A turnover ratio of about 5 to 3 is not anywhere near great. He's just a fine to below average starting point guard, and they're paying him a bunch of money when they don't even need his scoring, because the duo on this team is not Cat and D'Angelo Russell, which was what the initial thinking was when they brought him in. Good friendship, good partnership, keep Karl-Anthony Towns in Minnesota, here's our new duo of the future. But no, the duo is Anthony Edwards and Karl-Anthony Towns. Let's get that straight. That's the duo. Anthony Edwards just dropped a 48 piece and they still lost by over 10. That's a problem. Now, D'Angelo Russell did have one of his better games of the year in that game, but Karl-Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards is that duo. And so whether D'Angelo Russell returns to the bench and is a sixth man again, like he was a little bit last year when he was returning from injury, which I think is when he played the best basketball of his last few seasons, or whether he ends up getting moved, something I think needs to change with the dynamic of D'Angelo Russell and how he is used in this Minnesota team. To a lesser extent, Taurean Prince hasn't been any good this season. He's played in all 9 games. The game last night against the Golden State Warriors was the only game he did not play in. He's even started one. And I mean, sure, he can give you some fine wing defense, but the guy just hasn't been able to hit a shot, and you kind of need him to be a 3 and D guy, and you've only been getting the D. He's shooting under 20% from deep. Just not good enough. And you've had a few other bench guys that just haven't been good enough for this Minnesota team. And again, this is, as Karl-Anthony Towns has alluded to in the media, like, this is a Minnesota team that hasn't had great runs in the past. They just get in losing skids. And it's like, it doesn't take long for 3 or 4 to become 7 or 8. And it kind of looks like that's what's happening right now. And it's tough to see for a team that on paper should be good, but is just underperforming in so many ways on the offensive end, which is not what we would have expected for this group this season. Karl-Anthony Towns has been doing his thing. He's been quite good. I've liked what I've seen from Josh Okogie this year. Of course, he's not much on offense, but defensively he's been solid. And Patrick Beverley's been a good addition. Anthony Edwards still needs to improve his efficiency a little bit, but I still like what I continue to see of him in his second year in the league, averaging about 26 points per game. Of course, highly inflated by his 48-point performance, but that's allowed. He put up those 48 points. So the Minnesota Timberwolves definitely have some things they need to figure out. I think they have the right guy here as a coach. I like the roster from most of their pieces. But they got to figure out something with D'Angelo Russell, whether it's his role on the team changes or a trade that changes. And they need to commit to Karl-Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards as their duo moving forward. That is my thoughts on the Minnesota Timberwolves up to this point. It's definitely a confusing team to analyze because they don't look like a team that's just going to start losing 6 games in a row. But ultimately, that's kind of the Minnesota Timberwolves that we've been seeing for the last few years. And unfortunately, it hasn't looked any bit too different this season. Let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about this Minnesota Timberwolves group, what you would do to make changes with this group, or whether you would just leave it be and hope everyone start getting their offensive game going a little bit better. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And if you want to watch another one of my videos, be sure to click the box on screen. That being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.